What if I told you King Charles, Prince William, and even Donald Trump are quietly aligning against Harry and Meghan? Sounds insane, right? But insiders claim the Windsor Castle State Banquet wasn't just about politics, it was about sending a brutal message. Harry and Meghan are finished. On the surface, it looked like a grand royal dinner, but behind the smiles and speeches a power play was unfolding. King Charles stood tall as the host, Donald Trump delivered his own address, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, sat right beside them, the image of strength and continuity. Yet one thing was impossible to ignore. Harry and Meghan weren't there. Not a seat at the table, not even a polite mention. Completely cut out of the picture. And that's the point. Their absence wasn't coincidence, it was calculation. This banquet wasn't just about strengthening US ties, it was a staged demonstration that the monarchy doesn't need Harry and Meghan to survive or to thrive. If anything, it was proof that the crown is moving forward without them. So here's the real kicker: if Charles and William are bold enough to use a global stage like this to sideline Harry, what else are they planning behind palace walls? Because whispers inside Windsor say this was only step one in a much bigger royal reset, one that could erase the Sussexes from history entirely. Windsor Castle has hosted state banquets for centuries, but this one was different. On September 17th, the world's cameras focused on King Charles welcoming Donald Trump for his second UK state visit. The setting was regal, the guest list handpicked, and the symbolism impossible to miss. Charles gave his speech with the authority of a monarch, Trump responded with his usual bravado, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was seated prominently, glowing under the spotlight as the future queen. Every frame screamed unity, strength, and continuity. But look again. Where was Harry? Where was Meghan? While Charles and William showcased their closest allies on the world stage, the Sussexes were nowhere in sight. Not even a formal acknowledgement. Their absence was louder than any speech given that night. To many royal watchers, it was more than a snub, it was a message. Because think about it, if this banquet was truly about diplomacy, wouldn't Charles have at least extended a symbolic olive branch? Instead, he doubled down, making it crystal clear who sits at the royal table and who doesn't. Some insiders even believe Harry's name was deliberately kept off the guest list to avoid the slightest chance of him stealing the spotlight or creating awkward headlines. In other words, this wasn't oversight. It was strategy. And the strategy worked. The global press headlines weren't about royal family rifts or the Sussex drama. They were about Trump shaking hands with Charles, Catherine dazzling in her gown, and the monarchy looking stable, powerful, and united. Exactly the opposite of the chaos Harry and Meghan have been linked to in recent years. But here's the kicker: this banquet wasn't just theater. According to palace insiders, it was the first act of a bigger plan to show the world that the monarchy is secure, scandal-free, and already preparing for a future where Harry and Meghan don't exist in the royal equation at all. For years, Prince William was seen as the steady one, the quiet, composed heir who kept his head down while Harry lashed out in interviews and memoirs. But even the calmest man has a limit. And according to insiders, William's patience is gone. The cracks started with the Oprah interview. Overnight, the royal family was painted as cold, even racist, while William and Catherine were left to face the fallout with silence. Then came Spare, Harry's tell-all memoir. In its pages, William wasn't just criticized, he was painted as cruel, distant, even violent. Personal moments, private conversations, and family tensions were dragged into the public eye without warning. To William, this wasn't just betrayal, it was war. What cut even deeper was the toll it took on Kate. Palace sources say the Princess of Wales felt the brunt of the scrutiny and the headlines, all while she quietly battled her own health struggles. For William, seeing his wife dragged through the mud because of his brother's words was the final straw. Friends of the future king say he hasn't forgiven Harry for it, and he never will. This isn't about sibling rivalry anymore. To William, it's about principle. In his eyes, Harry didn't just walk away from the family, he chose to torch it on his way out. And now, William believes the monarchy can't move forward until the damage Harry and Meghan caused is permanently erased. That's why, behind palace walls, whispers are growing louder. William isn't just waiting to inherit the throne. He's already preparing to enforce a reckoning, one that could strip Harry and Meghan of every royal tie they have left. And if you think that sounds harsh, wait until you see what happened when Harry tried to step back into the UK spotlight. When Harry set foot back in the UK earlier this year, many thought it was his chance to mend fences. A moment of humility. A fresh start. But instead, it became proof that the door to the monarchy is firmly bolted shut. Yes, King Charles met him. But let's not kid ourselves. That meeting was short, stiff, and carefully staged for the cameras. It wasn't the warm, fatherly embrace Harry probably imagined. It was optics, nothing more. And the message was clear: you're tolerated, not welcomed. Now, here's the brutal part: William didn't even bother. Not a handshake, not a hello, not even a hint of acknowledgement. For the future king, his brother might as well not exist. Think about that. Two brothers who once carried their mother's memory together now can't even stand in the same room. And William isn't hiding it anymore. That silence is his weapon, and it cuts deeper than words. Meanwhile, Meghan stayed back in California, which only added fuel to the whispers. Was it her choice to avoid the humiliation? Or was she quietly told she wasn't wanted? Either way, the snub was glaring. The Windsors are drawing a line in the sand, and Meghan isn't crossing it. And here's the kicker. While Harry desperately tried to remind the UK he's still part of the family, palace insiders say the banquet with Trump, Charles, and William was designed to overshadow him completely. While the world's cameras focused on Windsor Castle, Harry was left looking like an outsider, a spare in every sense of the word. For Harry and Meghan, that wasn't just a cold shoulder. That was a public execution of their royal relevance. Donald Trump's presence at Windsor wasn't just politics, it was provocation. The man has openly clashed with Meghan before, branding her nasty and mocking her interviews. So when he sat shoulder to shoulder with King Charles and the Princess of Wales, it sent a very deliberate signal: Trump doesn't back losers. By aligning himself with the monarchy's inner circle, he was effectively saying, this is the winning team. And the message? Ruthless. Harry and Meghan aren't part of it. For Meghan especially, seeing a US president cozy up with the very royals she walked away from is more than a snub. It's a warning. Even across the Atlantic, her influence is crumbling. The Windsor banquet wasn't just dinner, it was theater on a global stage. Every shot of Charles, William, Kate, and Trump under those glittering chandeliers screamed unity, power, and stability. But beneath the sparkle, there was a colder undertone. The monarchy is moving forward, and Harry's family has been left in the dust. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Whatever you think of Harry and Meghan, love them or hate them, what about their children? Archie and Lilibet didn't choose this war. They didn't betray anyone. Yet every time their parents are iced out, it's those kids who grow up carrying the weight of that rejection. So, is this fair? Should the sins of the parents, real or imagined, fall on the shoulders of their children? Or has the palace gone too far, turning what should have been a family reconciliation into a public spectacle of exclusion? I want to hear your take on this, because for some, it looks like power and tradition. But for others, it feels like punishment, and not just for Harry and Meghan, but for their kids too. As King Charles battles his health concerns, there's one man quietly stepping into the driver's seat, Prince William. And make no mistake, this isn't just about filling in for his father at public events. It's about power. Behind palace walls, William is already acting like the monarch in waiting. He's taking on decisions, shaping the family's future, and drawing the battle lines that leave Harry and Meghan completely out in the cold. Think about it. The Windsor Castle State Banquet wasn't just a fancy dinner with Donald Trump. It was a show of unity. The king, the heir, and even a foreign power, all standing together. No cracks, no drama, no Sussex sideshow. For Harry, that silence is louder than any speech. Because while he's in California juggling podcasts and Netflix, his brother is slowly becoming the face of the monarchy, stable, disciplined, untouchable. And here's the brutal truth: William doesn't even need to say Harry's name anymore. Every appearance with Catherine, every handshake with world leaders, every royal duty he takes on sends the same message: the crown's future is secure, and Harry isn't part of it. This isn't gossip anymore, it's war. William isn't just plotting to strip Harry and Meghan's titles. He's ready to erase them from the monarchy's DNA. Imagine it. No Duke and Duchess of Sussex. No His Royal Highness, nothing. Just Harry and Meghan Markle, Hollywood freelancers with zero royal weight, and insiders swear the legal gears are already turning. Lawyers, advisors, even Parliament whispers, all circling the same question: how do we make this exile permanent? Because this isn't just about family drama. This is about the crown saying, you crossed the line, and now we're cutting you out for good. For Harry, that's the nightmare. Not the cold looks, not the silence, but the brutal reality that when William becomes king, his children may grow up as outsiders, stripped of royal ties before they even understand what those ties meant. For years, people thought William stayed silent out of mercy for his younger brother. But insiders say that silence was never kindness, it was calculation. William isn't acting as Harry's brother anymore. He's acting as the future king. And when duty calls, blood doesn't matter. To William, Harry isn't a lost sibling. He's a liability. Every interview, every Netflix series, every memoir page wasn't just Harry's truth, it was ammunition fired at the crown. And William has decided the monarchy can't survive if that fire keeps burning. Cold steel. That's how palace aides describe him now. No shouting, no tears, just a man ready to cut his brother out for the sake of the throne. For Harry, it's betrayal. For William, it's duty. And the cruelest part? William doesn't even flinch. He's already made peace with the cost. But here's the question no one in the palace wants to answer. Why should Harry's children, who never chose this war, be punished for their parents' choices? Archie and Lilibet didn't write books. They didn't give interviews. They didn't step into the spotlight. Yet, if William follows through with this so-called nuclear plan, those children could grow up as outsiders, stripped of the very legacy they were born into. Fair? Or cruel beyond measure? And let's not pretend there isn't a darker twist here. If Harry's kids are erased from the royal story, whose children stand to benefit the most? That's right, William's own. George, Charlotte, Louis, the heirs of the future, cleared of any competition, positioned as the only next generation that matters. Call it duty if you want, but doesn't it also look like strategy? A ruthless tightening of the crown's grip, ensuring that only William's bloodline wears the titles, carries the honors, and inherits the institution. So tell me, is this really about protecting the monarchy, or is it about power, plain and simple? Should the sins of Harry and Meghan define their children's lives forever? Or is William, the man painted as duty-bound and noble, actually playing the coldest game of all? What do you think? Is this justice for the monarchy, or a betrayal of family at its most brutal?